going on, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you guys another review for One Piece chapter 1060. And in chapter 1060, we got some major developments because we got Luffy being told that Sabo was the one who killed Vivi's dad, that Vivi's now gone missing. We got the world government making a move, destroying yet another island. We got Bonnie as a little girl. There's a lot going on in this chapter that has really gained my attention. So backing things up, the chapter opens up where you have Luffy being told the truth about what happened and that Sabo supposedly had killed Vivi's father. Luffy immediately goes, that's not true. There's no way that my brother would have done something like that. Nico Robin, after having spent time with Sabo and with the other revolutionaries, she's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, they're enemies. They're with the world nobles, not necessarily with the kings themselves. That doesn't make sense for him to have targeted them. And you have this moment where Luffy is going, that's it. We're going straight to Alabasta right now. And Zoro's like, dude, that doesn't make sense. Well, we go to Alabasta. It's like, okay, well, we're just going to go right there to where the world government is. And Zoro's like, dude, why would you go there? If we go there, we're going to be picking a fight with the whole Navy HQ. And I think on a certain level, what you see here is this just my opinion, but you might be seeing a little bit of the trauma that came from what happened at Marineford, where Luffy came close to losing his brother and then did lose his brother. It's one of those situations where you look at Luffy and you can kind of understand a little bit where he's coming from, because that's a traumatic experience. You know, that comes fresh off the heels of him almost having lost his crew. So you can look at that and realize that he wants to go to Alabasta to get some answers, because at the end of the day, Cobra and Vivi, they have a special place in his heart. In particular, Vivi, because of everything that they went through on the journey to Alabasta. And what I like about this is that you see how multiple Straw Hats, from Sanji to Chopper to Nami, they're all crying the ugly face tears. And it's just one of those moments where you look at them and you realize that they want to try and help Vivi. They want to try and prevent another situation like what you had with the Ace situation. And I think that's one of the things that is driving Luffy in the process right now, because he doesn't want to lose yet another brother. And Zoro kind of calls it back to him and says, like, hey, when Ace was in trouble before, you said, screw it, let him live his life until he gets in undeniable danger. And I think that that's probably going to be the difference here, because when Luffy went last time trying to save Ace, he went, and it was very brilliant. He went with a bunch of criminals. He got everybody that he could at the time. But part of me thinks, and it might just be me, like what you guys said on my first channel, Admiral Disrespect. So this might be the case here, but I kind of feel like if Luffy would have had the Straw Hats there, while they couldn't beat the Admirals in a fight per se, I do think that just given the skill set that each of those Straw Hats have, that they might have been able to actually save Ace from Ace himself. I think that if one of them would have been there, they might have been able to prevent Ace from actually getting himself killed. Now, the next thing we see here is that Luffy is told about the cross kill, and Nico Robin's like, well, you've had enough bad news, so now, you know, I will tell you that this guild, it does have people who are connected to you. And Luffy's like, man, this has got to be a mistake. How in the hell is Buggy one of the 4 emperors of the sea? Like, what's going on here? And I like that because it just kind of, you know, gives you like the reaction from Luffy, and Luffy's kind of projecting the audience reaction, because I know that was my reaction when we found out that Buggy was one of the emperors. I was like, dude, this has got to be a gag. No way that Oda takes this seriously. So I like how you see Luffy with that same reaction, and it's then after that that we find out that Sabo had his dream about wanting to write a book about the world after he saw it. Then Luffy talks about his dream, and all the Straw Hats just have this reaction. We're like, what did you just say? And they're all like, there's no way in hell this would be possible. And Luffy's like, well, it might be possible when I'm king of the pirates. And Oda doesn't tell us exactly what his dream is. So that's interesting. Like, it's one of those things where I want to know what had Shanks laughing so hard they had tears in his eyes, because it's one of those things where we're getting more motivation for Luffy. And I like this right here, because it just shows that there was something else driving him other than wanting to be king of the pirates and also something else driving him other than wanting to protect his friends. So I'm curious to know what this other external factor is that Luffy's chasing after, whether it be an ideal. I think it might be something more than just wanting people to live a free life. That's something that, like, I know some of you guys have told me in the comment section, that's what Luffy really wants with King of the Pirates. But it's one of those things where, like, Luffy talks about Sabo and he says Sabo grew up in a home that controlled him. He just wants everybody to be free. I think that's one of those things where Sabo's dream already kind of covers some of that. So I'm not too sure if that will be exactly what Luffy wants. I'm very curious to see where Oda takes that bit. And it's after that, after Straw Hats digest some of that information, that they all start laughing just like Shanks did, and Luffy's grinning there. So it's got to be something wholesome. And it's after that that we shift over and we see that you have Navy HQ. They're completely getting worked up. You got those elders that are in the room and they talk about Lulusia and they talk about how Sabo might be hiding there. How it was one of the kingdoms that revolted the other day against the world government, and they make the decision to basically destroy it. And we start seeing how Dragon and Sabo are communicating, and you see the king of Lulusia and the princess, and they're shouting at some of the prisoners, and they're saying that they've got to answer for the crimes that they've done. You got Sabo trying to pass on information to Dragon, and Sabo saying, like, look, like, the throne that you saw in Pangaea Castle, it's not what you think. It's supposed to be empty forever because there's no king of the world. However, and that's where before Sabo can go any further, all of a sudden we see these black clouds in the sky, and then these energy bombs just start coming down, and it blows up the entire country. And we find out that afterwards, the kingdom of Lulusia never actually existed, in the sense that it got destroyed, wiped from the map. And that's what I find interesting, because we see just the links that the world government is going to right. And what I like about the after effect of this is that we jump ahead. We jump ahead to where you see Luffy and he's on the Thousand Sunny. The weather's changed because the Grand Line, because the weather on the sea is absolutely bananas. Now all of a sudden it's snowing. Nami's doing the navigation. We see a giant whirlpool that is rising above the water, and it's got this warm water to it. And all of a sudden, Zoro's like, wait a second, Sanji, you hear a woman inside the water. It was either Sanji that said it, or it was either Carrot or it was Nami who say that whole line. And what I like about that is that Zoro's like, fine, I'll cut open the whirlpool. Sanji's like, dude, if you ever harm a hair on the head of the woman in that whirlpool, I'll kill you. I'll fry you up. And, you know, you can tell Sanji's thinking that might be a mermaid. Like, that's like a nice little throwback to his reactions at Fishman Island right there. And what ends up happening is we end up seeing a child version of Bonnie all of a sudden come out. And I'm very curious to see, number one, how they actually handle the interaction with Nami, because, like, she is a little kid, and you've seen that Nami is protective of kids. However, we also know that Bonnie has an adult form. So it's going to be funny to see Sanji's reaction after that. So my chapter question to you guys is, how do you guys feel about the island getting burned up or blown up? And what do you guys think that Sabo was trying to say to Dragon before he got cut off? What do you think Luffy's dream is?